all your school rugby, all in one place. This is NextGen 15.
Hello and welcome back. Another episode of the NextGen 15 podcast with myself, Angus Savage, and Will Roberts alongside me. Oh, it's been a busy few days, weeks, months, years, all the above. How are you, Will?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you, Angus. Here, we were just speaking off air about how much rugby there still is, and you think, the school season's coming to a close, it's the Easter holidays. Surely there's not enough for us to talk about. There very much is, and I know we've got a lot of Six Nations content to get through.
Certainly is.
How long's the Six Nations period?
Honestly, it's like going back to the 90s when the Six Nations used to start in sort of early January and it would finish towards the end of April. It's that kind of feeling. It's been all going on. I tell you what, trying to keep up with the games whilst vaguely looking like you're paying attention to the family over the Easter holidays has been been quite the challenge, but we've got there, and there's been some good stuff indeed. But more importantly, how was your Easter? What have you been up to?
Oh, goodness me, yeah, not too bad, thank you. Very wholesome, lots of family. It's the sort of time of the year where you just go and meet for lots of family, etc. I know that, but I have about 3 close relatives that have birthdays around the Easter weekend. 2 on one day, 1 the day after. So it's all a big celebration, sort of thrown into one in the Roberts household. So we make good fun of Easter.
Fair play. Roast lamb on the table.
Yeah, nothing else. You know, how was yours, Angus? Oh, how was your trip across the pond as well? That was the last time we spoke on here, wasn't it?
It was very good. Yeah, managed to squeeze in a game at Yankee Stadium, which was very good fun.
Not you playing yourself, no.
Nah, sadly didn't get the call up. Didn't get the call up.
Well.
They're untapped talent that they're yet to find out about. No, very good. We the rain came down, but play goes on. The show never stops over there. Found myself in the rather interestingly named Pepsi Clubhouse, which is much more glamorous than it sounds, and. In fact, it's not at all more glamorous than it sounds, if I'm honest. But it did keep me dry while the rain was coming down, and we saw a good game over there. But no, very good fun. And then a few days taking in the bank holidays over Easter, whilst keeping a keen eye on what's been going on down at the Six Nations. And a big shout out to Will Kelmsley, actually, who's been holding the fortress while I've been. Traveling the world, and has actually been paying attention to what's been happening. What is happening actually, though, before we get into the Six Nations, with under-19 season has arrived. It's that weird time
the in between, yes,
in between birthdays. Those that can't quite make the cut for the under-18 Six Nations because they've got those pre-January birthdays, and a few of those younger under-20s, and they're going to have a few run-outs with the under-19s. So they played France over the Easter weekend, and they're playing Scotland this weekend. Tough outing against France. It was a sort of France under-20s development side, so I guess probably more of a sort of 19 side rather than an 18 side, as England would look at it. But a tough trip to France. In fact, we spoke to Patrick Hogg, and that'll be coming in a little bit later, but he was talking about how it was a pretty hostile environment down in France, which is no surprise, I suppose.
Yeah, it's an interesting squad. I always do like these under-19s because we usually see combinations that we haven't yet seen, at least at an international level, because you get those that top crop of that previous under-18s group alongside potentially a few players that weren't able to feature for the under-20s in the Six Nations this year purely because of competition, and you start to see players being fed through for the following year. I mean, it did include, that initial squad did include some players that have had some under-20s experience this year. Look at like Nick Lilly's had a lot of minutes, Ollie Scholar. Aidan Ainsworth Cave has played a lot of that Six Nations tournament where they just fell short. And you combine that with a few players that have had some really successful under-18s tournaments so far, in the academy league as well as at school, and a few sort of Six Nations. Well, that was it was pre Six Nations games, wasn't it? When they had a couple of friendlies against like
Yeah,
Ireland and Japan. They played
yeah,
Japan.
they played Japan. Yeah, yeah, and it's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, I always think of this 19s group as a chance to check back in with players that you'd slightly forgotten about because
Yeah,
it's been
yeah,
years since they've really had a huge amount of game time. And I look at I'm just looking at the team sheet from the weekend just gone now, and you look at the back row, Patrick Hogg, who's obviously just finishing up his school career but has been injured through most of the year, on the blind side. But then at 7 and 8, you've got Seb Kelly on the open
yeah.
side, you've got Connor Treacy captaining the side from 8, who I know is kind of involved in the 20 squad, but back row depth is just ridiculous. But he was captaining the side, and he's a really promising player. It was sort of a couple of guys in there who were fantastic, but that we just haven't seen a lot of recently because
No,
of the age barriers and stuff. So it's really cool to see them get a bit of a run out.
indeed, and I think it's difficult when you come up against a side that I think that France under 20 side seemed stronger than we initially anticipated, because like obviously we both haven't been able to watch this game. It's very difficult to watch under 19s games, unless you're there, and I don't think either of us took the trip over the channel. So
Sadly
we
not.
only kind
Sadly
we
not.
only kind of have the score line to work off, but we also have the context of how good this England side is, and you'd know that they wouldn't be sort of put to that scoreline if it wasn't a strong side that they came up against. Some combinations as well that's kind of really caught my eye. I mean, that 9-10 partnership of Ada Stewart
Mm.
Harris and Ollie Davis. I think at 9 and 10, they weren't able to fix down a secure partnership for the under 20s tournament in the Six Nations, purely because of the injuries to Lucas Friday and to Archie McParland. I think therefore the Asa Stewart Harris Ollie Davis combo could be the answer next season for the under 20s to potentially go one step further.
Certainly could. I mean, both massively highly rated. I mean, yeah, Ollie Davis in particular, you and I have spoken about him umpteen times. He's just a
Yes.
fantastic talent and has played a good amount of senior rugby as well. I mean, the other combination that just jumps off the page for me is that back three with Tyler
Yeah.
Afire, Noah Kaluri, Connor Byrne, all kind
It's
of
pace,
different
isn't it?
ages, but it's just electric, isn't it? I mean, Tyler Afire, yeah, everyone knows the name, everyone knows the heritage, but he's absolutely flying on that left wing. Noah Kaluri, one of the standout 18s from the Academy League, scored that wonder try for England under 18 in
Mm.
the summer and playing in under 19s colours now. And then Connor Byrne, who's been kicking around in age group shirts for about as long as I can remember. I feel like he's
Yeah,
I feel like
it
he's
does
been
seem
part
like
of the setup for
I
about
was I
15
was
years.
really surprised to see him at under 19s, not because of ability or anything like that, but just like he seems older to me.
Yeah.
I think, and that is testament to him, and he's a great compliment, I think, to those two wingers. In the way that he plays, and you also look at that bench, Sean Sharp and Sam Winters as well as back three options. I mean, I know we're talking to Sam Winters later on, but a little word on him because he kind of had it all to go for with that Harrow side with the Bar team. He's ironically two sides that have done so well this season, but not necessarily with him always directly involved, but a chance for him at England U19 level.
Yeah, I mean, it's been the most frustrating year you can imagine for him,
Yeah,
really. I mean, he went down to South Africa with the England under 18s. He got a couple of caps under his belt, started the season with Harrow, and then early injury. And this is pretty much the first rugby he's played since.
yeah,
It's been what, 8, 9 months, something like that. It's brutal for him, and obviously he's seen his Bath side go all the way to the Academy League final. He's seen Harrow go back to back in the Schools Cup, and he's not got to be a part of either journey. Really, he must. I hope he doesn't feel like he's missed out and that he's been, a serious part of those squads despite not getting much time on the field. But this is his chance to go and show what he's all about. Because, well, as Bath have demonstrated, he's unbelievably highly rated. I mean, Bath
Well, yeah,
signed him up to a full-time professional contract well before Christmas. It was October or something.
Yeah, and that must also weigh heavy on the mind, because you're given this promotion and pushed out into the world and Johan van Gaal literally puts sort of his hat in the ring and says, you're my guy, says all this on social media, puts out the release to say that he's signed, and then obviously we haven't seen him kick a ball since. So for that, the pressure and expectation it shouldn't get to him, and I doubt it will, because he's a professional athlete and he doesn't think like you and I think. But it's still testament to his character if he's able to kick on from here, and hopefully he can stay injury free for as long as possible.
Yeah, I mean it must have been, no matter how strong your mindset, it must have been playing on the mind a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's the sort of character where he sort of is going to thrive under that pressure, and it's just really, really cool to see him back in action and in a shirt, because it's been so tough, and as it has for Patrick Hogg as well, who I think he was actually captain for the England under-18s down in South Africa, got injured within 5 minutes, and missed the entire school season, missed the Academy League season, and has just about managed to get back to fitness in time to pull on an England shirt again. I was sort of, well, in fact, we're going to jump across to him in a couple of moments' time. But one of the first questions I asked him is, must have been a really weird year for you in that you've topped and tailed it with these unbelievable highs of wearing England shirts of various age groups, and yet the middles disappeared and been non-existent. But he seemed pretty chipper about it. So let's hear from Patrick Hogg and then from Sam Winters. We are joined now by Patrick Hogg. How are you, Patrick? It's been a tough old year.
Yeah, I'm all good. Good to be back at it, like week in, week out, and get things going again.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess I don't want to get into injuries too much, but it's been a weird year for you, I suppose. I mean, you were out in South Africa on the 18s tour, time of your life in many ways, and then injury and this final year of school and academy stuff, and you missed out on a lot of it. But here you are back in England colours, game under the belt last week, and another one to come at the weekend. It's sort of top and tailed exactly as you would have liked it, and just a frustrating period in the middle, I guess.
Yeah, the injury was, as you say, in South Africa, like starting it like 5 minutes into the first game. Obviously, my knee goes, but then at the same time, the injury's probably like in the long run helped me a lot, because I've had some time to get in the gym and develop myself a bit more, and then I feel like I'm playing better rugby now than I was before I got injured anyway.
Yeah, and I think the last time I saw you, not that we got to chat, but I saw you up at the Merchiston Festival. You were prowling the touchline while the boys were doing the work on field. Have they kept you involved up at school and in Falcons and stuff?
Yeah, I was school a lot. I took I was the line out coach. That was my title that I got given. But at Falcons as well, it was good for the first half of the Acad League season. Obviously, I couldn't play, but that was like when I was towards the back end of my rehab, so I could join in with a lot of the skills stuff. But school was still pretty good, to be fair. It wasn't too bad just watching the boys. Obviously, I would have loved to play. But...
Line out coach, how did you find that then? So, did you get your hands dirty with it a bit?
Well, as much as I could. It was frustrating sometimes because, to be fair, I got injured and then another one of our line out jumpers got injured, so we were working with a bit of a bad crop. But
a few trick plays and stuff.
Yeah, in the end we got there, to be fair, so it wasn't too bad.
Very good stuff, mate. Very good. Well, listen, happier times. Tough game at the weekend against France, but got Scotland coming up this weekend. must just be awesome though to be pulling on that shirt and getting a run out and experiencing life with England again.
Yeah, yeah, it's so good to be back in the England colours. Means like obviously everything to play for your own country. And to run out in front, it was like, although we didn't win, it was a really good experience. Like there was a bit of a crowd at the game, like a bit of hostility from the French. As you know, they're not too fond of the English. But yeah, no, it was really good. And then obviously playing up north in Newcastle against Scotland, which is where I'm from. So it'd be good to run out in front of like a home crowd, know a few faces.
Certainly will be, and obviously in the squad this week you've got a few new additions from the group that went down to France. You've got a few of the guys that have come up that were playing Six Nations over the last couple of weeks. Been cool to have a different sort of energy around camp.
No, yeah, it's been good to get some of the boys back in because they were with us for the Japan week, like Elliot and Marshy and Naita. But yeah, they bring a good energy. They bring obviously the ball really good. That's why they're being asked to come and just good chat as well. To be fair to them, especially Marshy likes to give a bit of mouth.
Does he? Tell us a bit about Marshy then. What's the George Marsh? What's he like?
Just he's very loud in small groups. When it's like the whole group and the coach are there, he's a bit quiet. But when there's just a couple of you playing cards or whatever, he loves to give a bit of chirp.
You need a few of those in camp. You need a few of
You have
those.
to. You have to.
It's and the cards, is that where the competition's coming in off field? A lot of cards going on.
Yeah, loads of cards. There was loads of cards out in France, and yeah, get it up started and running again.
What's the game of choice?
The game of choice probably cheat or also probably the two that we play the most.
Excellent. I love it. I love it. Actually, we're thinking about George Marsh and obviously Elliot coming up and yourself and guys like Seb Kelly and a couple of the second row boys as well. Competitive area of the field. It must be training must be pretty tough as well as the games.
Yeah, yeah. It's like second row and the six. Like there's no easy spots in there, so I think that's good. In training, everyone's got to like make sure they're fully alert and switched on, and like everyone's pushing each other to fight for that starting shirt.
And just looking ahead, then obviously Scotland, sort of 20s and 18s, they've had a bit of a tough patch of late, but obviously Newcastle's not too far for them to travel. You know what the rivalry's like for Scotland with England. So probably a tough test coming up.
Yeah, I think like no matter like what the teams are like, they'll still come out with passion, especially when they're playing against England. So I think it'll still be a fight, but hopefully we can do one over on them. But yeah, I still think they'll come with loads of energy and loads of fight and want to bring the game to us. But we'll be happy to meet them with that.
And obviously, in camp you've got different coaches that you're working with within this camp. Obviously, you've been through the 18 stuff with JP and with Will Parkin and stuff, and obviously looking further ahead to the 20s where you've got Tofty who's kind of running the show, but this week Andy Titterell in charge of things. What's it like being like with him? Obviously, former England player, went on a Lions tour back in 2005 as well, so he's seen it all.
No, yeah, it's been really good working with Andy. Just I don't know, it just tells you how it is. Like there's no cushioning on it, and I think that's how I don't know. I prefer to be coached. You don't have to like guess what he's telling you. He'll just tell you exactly what he wants and how to do it. And if you do it wrong, he'll tell you you've done it wrong. So clear feedback, but it's very easy to work with and improve on.
Proper front rower, isn't he? Tells you exactly what he's thinking.
Exactly.
And I guess a useful guy from a personal point of view for you, obviously being a line out jumper yourself, and him being a hooker in his past life, obviously knows the line out inside out. That's obviously quite a useful connection for you guys to have.
Yeah, no, it's very good. He's sharp around the lineouts, like how we can get in the air as fast as we can and make sure we're consistent. Like he's very keen on it's not always the hooker's fault. It can be the jumper's fault as well. So
You shocked me, a hooker trying to lay the blame on other guys in the line out.
yeah,
Who would have thought it, eh? So that for people who don't know you, you are, well, basically you're a tall boy. Um, how tall are you?
6'6".
Six
Yeah,
foot six, and you're what, 18 still?
yeah, 18.
You reckon there's some growing left?
Oh, I don't know, maybe a little bit. My brother's 6'8", so I might catch him up.
Gee, you're almost a foot taller than me. Well, your brother is a foot taller than me. Very, very jealous. Well, listen, I just want to look back on the year that's been. Obviously, you were doing a bit of coaching work with Durham, but it looks as though Durham a place that's getting its school rugby really back on the map again. Quite a few years, but looks as though it's really, really started to grow.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like last year, we had a really good year. We had a good group of boys, and just obviously the coach and Bedders and Scotty, they're like really good. They have a lot of time for you. Like any questions you can answer, any extras, they'll be out there on the pitch with you. But I think it's been the buy-in from the lads because I've been playing since year 11, and then like the buy-in from everyone, like the captain will say, right, we'll do a gym session, like in the morning or after school, and the whole squad will be there. And then same if that's like if you want to walk through our place for the weekend, I think it's just the buy-in from the whole school and the coaches as well, and then all trying to get in the right direction to make the school better.
And without blowing your own trumpet, I suppose, but does the fact that obviously you've got had a promising start to your rugby career, obviously going well with Falcons and representing England at 18s and now at 19s and hopefully 20s next year. Obviously, that with that comes an exposure to a level of training and professionalism, as you're kind of describing from your schoolmates there. Do you think that having a guy like you in any school, someone who's been exposed to that level, really helps to get the other guys to really pull their fingers out as well, because they can see what can come if you do put that extra in?
I think it does help. And at Durham, like we've had Sam Graham, he played England 18s, he was the year above me at school. And then this year, I've done it last year, and then AJ Edwards as well. So there's been like a collective, like, I don't know, people driving the standards at school, but that just doesn't come from us, it comes from the whole squad. Like it'll just take one of us to say it, and then everyone else will jump on the bandwagon and be right there with us.
What's it like having a schoolmate in camp? Because obviously not everyone's got loads of guys they know particularly
No,
well in camp, but you have.
yeah, no, I've been quite lucky, especially with AJ. I've been always the year above me at school, so he's always been the year below me. But he's like proper little cocky twat around school. So, he gives it to us older boys, but yeah, he backs it on the pitch, to be fair, most of the time. But it is good, especially if you want to just have like a quiet word about something that's not like particularly went your way. And I've been lucky to have that like every England cap like I've ever made. I've had someone from school with me there.
Makes life a lot easier. No, it's definitely good, and there's a few of those in camp. A few big names as well. I suspect there's been a few parents on touchlines where you know who they are. The likes of Martin Afire and his like must make for quite a cool touchline.
Yeah, last year the under 18 Six Nations, he was out there. But yeah, you'd be like sat down after the final game having a drink, and then Martin Fire's like on the table next to you. It's quite weird.
Just don't let him poach any more players across the rugby league like he's done with Christian Wade. We don't need
Oh,
any more of that.
yeah, none of that around here.
Good stuff. Listen, Patrick, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck for Saturday. Should be an awesome game against Scotland, and well done again against France. A cracking effort despite a very good France side.
Cheers. Thank you.
Top stuff. Cheers, Patrick. Sam Winters now joins us. How are you doing, Sam?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, just in camp now for the under-19s up in Newcastle. We got Scotland this weekend, so yeah, and I'm doing well, thank you.
Yeah, and I guess we'll take it right back to the start of the season. It's been a horrible old season for you, really, I
Yeah,
suppose. But topped and tailed as you'd like it, I suppose. In that
yeah,
um, good fun
it's
summer
been
and good
yeah,
fun end.
it's been yeah pretty mad. I mean, take it back to South Africa with the 18s in the summer. So I came back off that. It was tough. It was like my first experience of like age grade rugby, um, and then that was tough, but it was a great experience. And then sort of started the school season. I only managed to play the first 5 matches before getting injured, so that was cut short. And then since then, I did my lateral meniscus. I tore it, and since then I've just been recovering, trying to get back. And my first game back was last weekend in France for the 19s. So it was kind of, yeah, I mean, missing everything to get back in an England shirt. I mean, it didn't make up for it, but I would say it got close. When you ever have the opportunity to represent your nation in a game, it's always a privilege. So it was sort of a nice end to the season now, which is, yeah, sort of made it a little bit better.
What was it like being back out there again? All come back to you?
Guys,
Feel natural?
yeah, it was just amazing to be back. Ability wise, I did feel good actually. I sort of I worked really hard on my rehab and stuff to put myself in the best position. And I felt really good actually. Felt quick, felt good. I was playing on the wing. And yeah, no, I did feel good, and it was sort of all worth it. I got about 25 minutes, so it was pretty special. And just to be back on the pitch, I was just grateful to be playing, even though like score didn't go our way. Like personally, it's just those wins for me were what I had to take from it. So yeah, it was cool, very cool.
Massively. How are the lungs at the end of it?
Yeah, it was a little bit blowing. Yeah, it was like a bit of an eye opener. But no, I'm feeling good now. Yeah, it was a little bit tough,
And
Yeah.
how was playing on the wing? I mean, I think you're listed on the wing for the weekend as well in the wider
Yeah,
squad. I'm sure you get a bit of time in the backfield.
yeah,
Not played a
um,
lot. They'd been at fullback mostly, but
yeah,
I guess a lot of similar skills.
yeah. This is what I was saying. I was talking to Tofty, Mark Mapletop, a bit, and he was like saying, just sort of what was true. It was like there's not much difference between them, position wise. Like a modern day winger now, you look at them, they're all over the park. They're moving a lot and they're getting touches everywhere. So I think as a 15, you maybe get a bit more high ball or long kicks, but position wise, I haven't really noticed that much. And as I say, I'm just grateful to be back and playing. But yeah, no, I have enjoyed the wing. I didn't play much there, as you said. I've been playing mainly 15, but there's a lot of skills transferable between them too. So yeah, I've been lucky. Yeah.
I don't know the way that the sort of pathway sides want to play. There's a lot of freedom for you, presume,
Yeah.
to come and get involved through the centre of the field as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, our principles is just go and get your hands on the ball, and we're just encouraged to move it a lot. So yeah, I just go searching for it wherever I can and just try to pop up. So that's what they encourage us to do. And it sort of gives you that freedom and like ability to do so. So as a fullback winger, yeah, it's pretty ideal. Pretty ideal. Yeah.
I'm going to reflect on the year a little bit more because you might have had the most crazy year of
Yeah.
of any rugby player in their final year of school. You know, you're obviously, as you say, South Africa in the summer with England
Yeah.
18s. That strong start to the season with Harrow. You then signed professional terms with Bath.
Yeah. I
Well
mean,
in advance of when that normally happens. I
yeah.
mean, that must have been a huge moment.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, as you say, it's been pretty mad. It was sort of off the back of last season at Harrow. Sort of coming towards the end of that, I played in that quarter final against Ipswich in the rain. I don't know if you were commentating on the game, but it
I
was,
remember it well.
yeah,
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 it was
and it
some
was,
performance that.
yeah, it was. We kind of blew them away, and it was sort of that's where it took off. But unfortunately, that was my last game in that season because I then broke my wrist. So, but it sparked some interest, and with London South Central, formerly London Irish, going under, it was sort of like, where do I go from there? And I've sort of done very well to land on my feet. It was sort of that summer. I started chatting to different clubs. It was mainly either Saracens or Bath, and I chose to go with Bath in the end, which I'm very lucky for. And yeah, I've sort of had a great entry there in the summer, and they were awesome. They've given me a lot so far, so I'm really looking forward to this summer getting stuck in. And then, as I say, we had the summer South Africa, and then it's sort of all halted again. It was sort of deja vu. Here we go again. Missed a lot. I missed Harrow School final twice. If you look at the photos of the winning team, I'm just on the sideline in my tracksuits both years. Missed the Academy League final this year for Bath. So I mean, it's been a tough year. Missed a lot, but as I say, I just kept working and sort of picturing down the line what I was going to do. I was sort of like writing off what was not going to happen. And sort of these 19s games were ambitious, but always a goal. And now they're sort of here. So I got quite lucky to land on my feet, and I'm here playing again. So I saw that's what drove me through getting through those, because it was quite tough having to accept like that was the end of my school career. Back in 1st of October, when we were playing, it was my last game, and then sort of having to accept that, which is annoying because it's like that's where your best days are, playing. But you got to, people kept reminding me around me, you got to keep looking forward. You got a long career, so I mean that's what I did. Kept looking forward, and now here we are. So yeah, very lucky to be here. Yeah,
It's ended up in a pretty cool place.
yeah. So I'm lucky in some sorts. Yeah.
And next year next season it's all about to get even cooler as well, I suppose. I mean, you're going to be training with Finn Russell, Ollie Lawrence, some pretty special players. Hopefully, getting to play outside them every now and then as well. I mean, that's going to be
awesome.
Something else, isn't it?
Yeah, hasn't quite dawned upon me yet. That experience, I haven't really got into the mindset of I'm down to Farley with Bath in July, training with these guys. So it sort of hasn't really got upon me, but I'm sure it will, and I'll have those moments when I'm in those sessions with those guys. I'm like, wow, I'm actually training with these people. So Bath's a very lucky place. Some of the world of the best, and we've got Arundel coming back in, and Santi Carreras. So I mean, people to learn off. It's going to be quite cool position wise. Yeah.
And Arundel's going to be an interesting one as well. And I mean, another fellow Harrow Old Boy, as you will be at that point.
Yeah.
Competing for a shirt with you in many ways. That'll be good fun.
Yeah, I know. It'll be weird, and I think Mr. Melville's already messaged him just to look out for me or something. So hopefully, no, it'll be really cool. I know
he's looking for tickets. That's what he's after.
Yeah, I know. He keeps in our WhatsApp messages. I'll have to keep him happy. But no, it's really cool, and I'm joining Charlie and Kepu as well. So it's very nice to have a few familiar faces there. Certainly, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, should be a comfortable environment, as you say. Lots of former schoolmates there, and obviously you've got some guys in camp with you at the moment. You've got Tyler Afire, fellow back three man, and Connor Treacy, who was captaining the side at the weekend, both down at Bath. So a lot of familiarity. Have you had much of a chance to sort of pick their brains, pick any of the other guys' brains about England, Bath, what's to come, the future, etc.?
Yeah, so I mean, Tyler's a good example of someone like position-wise. He was involved in like the 20s a bit. So just picking his brains, and like even like the people in my year, like Noah, Calorian, people like that. It's because I've had like the lack of rugby this year. It's sort of like catching up a bit. So just keep picking their brains, asking a lot of questions, and I don't really mind that if I'm just like asking questions, because that's what they encourage here. So there's really good people to learn off, and yeah, I'm lucky in that aspect. Yeah, definitely.
And I guess that there's quite a lot of guys in this 19s group, particularly who've got a fair bit of experience. I mean, I look at someone like Connor Treacy, who's got bags and bags of age group caps. Connor Byrne as well has got. Actually, I was talking to Will Roberts earlier as we were putting this episode together, and we said we can't believe that Connor Byrne is still eligible for the 19s because he's got that much age grade experience. It must be with these guys with that extra experience around, it must help you feel as though you've got a bit more freedom to go out and play and make some mistakes and quickly learn from them.
Yeah, definitely. I sort of felt that in the France game. Like having people like Tyler on the pitch and Nick Lilly as well. People who played like a lot of age grade stuff already. And sort of me who hasn't played that much in the last year, having those guys around you, just like that was really good. Like encouraging you, just keep chatting to you. I think that's like one of the most important things on the pitch, especially as a back three player. If you just have these people around you, like talking all the time and confident, it sort of installs the confidence in you, and hopefully that I'll keep learning that, and then I'll be that guy when the younger guys come in. I'm doing that to them. So yeah, it is really cool. And yeah, it just installs the confidence to go for it, really. Yeah.
And looking ahead to Saturday, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can't wait. As you say, I'm on the start, so this is my first start since being back. I'm just gonna go for it. Really back myself, and show them what sort of has been out for the past 6 months or so. So yeah, I can't wait. Yeah.
And I'm sure I haven't seen the Scotland team sheet yet, but I'm almost certain there'll be a few familiar faces on it because they
Yeah,
do tend to select a few. So there'll be some good competition there.
yeah. I certainly knew some of the guys out on the 18s and the Six Nations. I don't know about the 19s, as you said. I haven't really seen the squad list, but yeah, there'll be some familiar faces and stuff and guys I've played against. So yeah, that'll be cool as well. Yeah.
Should be
Yeah.
very good fun, mate. It
Yeah.
should be really cool. Um, let's talk a little bit then again about Harrow, but with an England hat on.
Mm.
There have been so many players in the last
Yeah.
couple of years that have come through Harrow's ranks and into the 18s, the 19s, the 20s, and the pro ranks. I mean, you look at Kepu, you look at Charlie, you look at Reggie Hammock, and guys like that. I mean, it's been extraordinary, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I got lucky in some aspect. I've come in at an awesome time. I mean, joining the school, it was like, of course, rugby was a big driver of like why I was going to Harrow, and having these guys like Kepu, Charlie, Reggie came a little bit later, but guys in the older school like Henry, Arundel, and Ricky, who were in the top year when I was at the bottom year, and sort of like having that culture of just these amazing players going through it, sort of installs that pathway for you to follow. Especially like someone maybe like Charlie, who's like position wise very similar. To see him go through that, and like it's quite awesome to see like a guy who was in your position at school doing very similar things to hitting the scenes at 20s and doing really well for Bath and stuff. So it is really cool. And yeah, some of the players have been awesome through Harrow. So I've been lucky to hit a sort of a golden patch for schoolboy rugby at Harrow. So yeah, it's been pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and actually, we spoke to Patrick Hogg earlier about
Mm,
his time at Durham and how there'd been a bit because they'd had a few players,
mm.
not quite as many as Harrow, but a decent number of players in recent years that have gone through the pathway system. That there was almost a driving of standards as people saw what those guys at the top end were doing. Is it been similar to that where you've almost
Yeah,
because there's that culture of excellence that the players are almost driving?
yeah. I mean, you're constantly like comparing yourself and like I'm going to be doing that. I want to be doing that. And that sort of drives everyone. I mean, being in the first team for the past few years, it's sort of that's what's like driven it. Like players like that just driving those standards, and that almost lifts the whole team up. Respective if you're playing like academy or not even academy, and it's sort of driven those standards up. And yeah, we've been lucky in that aspect to have those players and figures. And I think it goes down through the whole school really. If you're a young boy at school looking up to these guys, it's pretty cool. And sort of I had that when I was younger, and hopefully, so some of the guys are doing this, looking up the same to me. So yeah, it is really cool, and it inspires people to keep playing and play at a high level. So yeah, no, it has been awesome. Yeah.
Well, I know for a fact that you've contributed heavily to that, and you're definitely one of those that's inspired some of the youngsters. And I know that you were gutted not to be out in the field for that final, but I know that the lads on the field they've spoken about it that you played a massive role off the pitch as well,
Yeah, I
and
hope so.
contributed heavily. Listen, mate, I know we don't have a huge amount of time with you, but I want to just finish on one because you are going this summer to what is probably the coolest club on the planet at the moment, bar maybe Toulouse. Players coming out of your ears there,
Yeah.
exciting players nonetheless. Who are you most excited to sort of rub shoulders with?
I mean, it's probably got to be like Finn. I don't think I would say anyone else. Russell. It's the experience he's had, the level he's played at. And I sort of like the way he goes about it. He's quite like relaxed and like I think I've heard he's like really nice to like young lads and talks to them and stuff. So I think someone to like learn off and like watch. There's no one better. And some of the things he does on the pitch are like silly. So hopefully learn a lot of him because even though as a backfield player, you can learn a lot off a 10 because like modern day 15, sort of like a second playmaker. So a lot of skills to learn off him. And hopefully like rub shoulders, as you say, in sessions and stuff. So yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah.
See if you can hitch a ride in the Lamborghini with him.
Yeah, I know. All these cars now. I don't know. We rock you up in my little Corsa or something. So yeah, we'll see.
Offer him a lift, see how it goes. You
Yeah,
never
yeah,
know.
we'll see how it goes down. Yeah, yeah,
No. Well, no, it's gonna be awesome. What a player to be able to just run a line off and know that the ball is going to arrive
yeah,
and put you into space. It should be good fun. Listen, mate, thank you so much for chatting to us. Best of luck tomorrow. Really hope it goes well for you,
yeah.
and
Thank you.
I
Very
hope the
much.
lungs survive the first start in what is
Yeah,
it,
yeah, we'll see.
7 months?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's coming up 7 months since it. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Give it all. Thank you very
You'll
much.
be absolutely fine. Enjoy it. Get your hands on the
Thank you
ball
very
and
much.
have fun.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Angus.
So that was Patrick Hogg and Sam Winters, who are going to be involved in some capacity against Scotland at Percy Park this Saturday, 2 p.m. kickoff up in the northeast. And one thing that's really jumped off the page in terms of the squad list to take on Scotland is that there's a whole bunch of guys in that squad who've come straight from under 18 Six Nations action to be in the under 19 squad. No rest for the high performers, is there? Elliot Williams, George Marsh, Oscar Talbot, Will Knight, and James Pater all promoted from the 18 Six Nations squad into the under 19s to take on Scotland. That's pretty good going.
It is, and players in really, really crucial positions as well. I mean, you look at like Talbot, obviously as a 10, Will Knight, who was captaining that under 18s men's team a couple of weeks ago against Scotland under 18s. James Pate, obviously a fullback. Elliot Williams, who also was sort of co-captaining. These are players. Elliot Williams at 6. These are players in crucial positions. So they're not going to have an opportunity to sort of sit back in the passenger seat and relax. They're going to have to take charge of the game. And having only, I'd imagine, been a part of this squad for a week, a couple of weeks, it's going to be really, really interesting to see how they fare.
Yeah, it really is, and I kind of want to dive in a little bit actually on Elliot Williams
Yeah.
and in a sense Patrick Hogg as well. In that there is we've seen in the Six Nations, the senior Six Nations, that England have been playing with about 55 different open sides across the field. Um, but probably the course of action prior to that tournament has been England playing with a sort of second row slash six
Yeah.
on that blindside flank. You look at Ollie Chesham, George Martin spent some time there, Courtney Laws previously, Marrow's done that job as well. And it looks as though, and we've asked the coaches and they've been reluctant to confirm, which I kind of understand, but it does look as though there is a definite strategy along the pathway of trying to develop these sort of hybrid second row slash sixes, in that Hogg is 6'6" and still growing on the blindside flank. Perfectly happy in the second row. Elliot Williams, likewise, he's carrying probably more muscle, but he's a big second row playing at 6. It feels like there's a definite decision that that's a way to play.
I think they've been probably scarred a little bit with the depth that they've found a couple of years above these guys. Because you look at, it's a bit of a tangent, but you look at who will probably end up on that Lions tour. You'd imagine sort of Itoje will go, Chesham could be there and thereabouts, George Martin if he sort of fit back from injury. Those are the 3 sort of pillars of that England senior squad second row. You then go down from that, and you've got Alex Coles, who's been flitting with injury, and then you actually go to Chandler Cunningham South, who's not a second row by trade. He's been playing there now for Harlequins, but then like maybe like Arthur Clarke, Hugh Tizard, the next cabs off the rank, but they've only had England A appearances, and definitely wouldn't be able to do a job at 6. And that is what Steve Borthwick has always fancied. So it's no doubt, we spoke about it when Junior Kapoku was starting to be named at blindside flanker in the under-20s, because considering how packed that back row is for the England under-20s, they still decided to go with that sort of 3 second rowers. It must be something they're looking to sort of future-proof. So when it comes around to the Six Nations in 3-4 years' time, they don't have the same situation as they did this year, where they've got to bring on Ted Hill to come and play 2 minutes in the second row on his 3rd cap for England in sort of 5 years or whatever it was. They don't want that situation again. And they'd love to have a player wearing the 19 shirt or wearing the 5 shirt or wearing the 6 shirt that can interchange across all three.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way, doesn't it? And that's, I suppose, a big part of what the pathway is as well. Is you're supposed to be trying to future-proof. You're supposed to be developing players that can slot into a sort of long-term view of the system as you head forward. So it's not an unwise way of going about things.
Indeed.
Oscar Talbot, what a phenomenal rise!
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
he's still 17, and he's taken to this team taken to the under-18s team really well with some stiff competition. Hugh Shields as well was in that side, wasn't he? And he, if you look on form alone, had played so well for his Northampton side in the Academy League. But Talbot kind of, it seems to be that steady rudder to sort of guide teams really nicely. And you look at the other players that he'll be able to go into this camp with in James Lineker and Ollie Davis. You've got two sort of age grade players who are really, really talented in his position and have actually a lot of experience. Lineker in particular has so much playing experience for his age. And look, it's going to be fascinating to see if really hope he gets some minutes against Scotland. I think he will. I think he has to actually to be brought into the squad. Let's hope that he's given the opportunity to give it a good crack.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking through that squad list now that we've had sent through. In fact, we can break it because we've been told we're allowed to. Team is being named tomorrow and hasn't been released yet, but the wider squad has been released. And actually, helpfully, the way it's been released is that everyone is numbered up, so we see what the sort of depth chart is.
Yeah.
In terms of the squad. And actually, with regard to what we were talking about on that blindside flank, Patrick Hogg is listed as a 6. He's the only 6 listed. Elliot Williams is listed as one of 2 5s, alongside Aidan Ainsworth Cave. But we know Elliot Williams has been playing 6 for the 18s, so he's obviously going to be able to bounce between those. The other second rows, Ethan Surrey and Luke Griffith, are the 4s. Tight heads, Jack Lightbound and Ollie Streeter. Hookers, George Knowles, Jimmy Staples. And loose heads, Oliver Scholar and Josh Mann. Open sides, George Marsh and Ollie Allport. Number 8, Connor Treacy. So it looks as though Connor Treacy's going to start unless some people get moved around. Scrum halves, Asa Stewart Harris and Johnny Wyman. 10s, Ollie Davis and Oscar Talbot. Centres are interesting because there's only actually 2 in the squad and they're both labelled as 12s, Reece Beekmans and Will Knight, which suggests either that one of them's going to play at 13 or that we might see someone get shifted around. Could be a chance for Oscar. You may see Oscar Talbot start at 10 with Ollie Davis out at 13. That certainly happened at 18s for Ollie Davis, didn't it?
Yeah, that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, it could be very interesting. Left wing, Sam Winters and Tyler Afire. Obviously, Sam Winters, probably most people are used to seeing him at fullback, but obviously that's in a school environment. As he moves up towards the professional ranks, may well be that he's seen more as a winger. Likewise, you've got Noah Kaluri on the right wing with James Pater, who's been playing fullback for the 18s, but he's labelled here as a winger. And then the 2 fullbacks, Connor Byrne, who's another actually who could play in the centres, isn't he? And AJ Edwards. So the 23 will come from there. I'm just rapidly trying to count up how many people we've got there. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26. I reckon it's going to be a squad of 26. I reckon all 26 will be in for game time on that. But yeah, it's an interesting group, and as we said at the top, it's a quite a cool age group because you do get to see guys that you've not necessarily seen that much of in the last little while. I suppose a great example being, as we mentioned, Connor Byrne, who we've been assuming is about 23, 24 because he's been kicking around in age grade shirts for so long. Kicking around in age grade shirts for slightly less long have been the under 18s. Really, really young group. Spoke to Will Parkin last week, who was talking about just how young this group is and that there are very few in there who've even had their 18th birthdays yet. and they went through that under-18 Six Nations unbeaten. Skin of the teeth in the end. Had to come from quite the deficit against France in an epic game, 22-5 down in that final game of the Six Nations,
Yeah.
and winning it 29-27. Joe Burns, a Next Gen 15 regular, was on commentary and was texting me from his commentary position, saying, "Are you watching this? This game is unbelievable." Which I think, if anyone who knows anything about commentary, if a commentator is breaking away from the game to say that, it really is a good game.
Yeah, indeed. And what an opportunity and what a chance it was for that England side to go out there. You spend, it's not like the under 20 Six Nations, where you sort of travel around and you're in a camp for however long. You've got what, a week and a half in France. You stay in the same place and you're surrounded by all these different teams. You've got that England, Wales, Scotland, Ireland. I'm not sure if Ireland were there, but Spain were there, which was great to see. Georgia was there, France as well. Like, so many different teams, and you play a selection of them, and just a really cool take on it, and a really cool experience. And as you say, a young side. I mean, I think the prime example are the two wingers who really impressed throughout the course of the campaign, with Charlie Tamani and Junior Denny. They were both like 16, 17. Yeah. And they're playing at England under 18 level. Zach Finch as well, who really made a name for himself in that Spain game, is part of that crop. And yeah, look, it was great to see them take a really young side and just give them experience, because you imagine they're going to come through with heaps and bounds off the back of that.
Yeah, and there's gonna be a lot of these guys. Well, I mean, there's a lot of them going off to play with the 19s, as we mentioned, but there's going to be a lot of these guys, because of their age profile, that end up playing in South Africa this summer on the tour, which is traditionally the sort of start of season point for the under 18s, and so you tend not to have a lot of players that have played in the previous campaign. But actually, in this instance, there are quite a lot of lower sixth lads in there, so they are going to have a fair few players in that squad with a bit of experience. So actually, for this particular group, there's a real chance to build a lot of cohesion over the course of the next few years, because they're going to get this tour in the summer. They're probably going to be the core then of the 19s team next year. And then the following year, they're going to all be together in the 20 setup as well, you would have thought. So suddenly you've got this group that are going to get a lot of game time together over the course of the next few years. And that makes a difference. You see it, how did George Ford and Owen Farrell manage to, last so long as fundamentally two fly halves playing 10-12? Well, because they'd done it since they were 15, from under 16s upwards for England. These combinations can really pay off in the long run if you build them up through the age groups. Yeah,
you certainly have those waves. One I'd really, just one part of that festival I'd really like to touch upon are the Spaniards, because I did watch them in their game against England. They were good. They were I think they were leading at halftime. If not, it was they were leading at halftime in that England game. They beat Scotland. They were brilliant. There was chat, I don't know if it was this week, last week, or whatever, about a World Cup in Spain in the next couple of years or so. I think 2035 was the sort of figure being thrown around when a World Cup in Spain could take place. How cool would that be? I think the Spaniards as a nation are really taking to rugby on the sevens scene and in the women's game. Funny enough, the men's game is sort of the area of rugby in Spain that's kind of lagging behind, which is far from traditional. But great to see so many youngsters turn out for that Spanish side.
Yeah, they'll be absolutely over the moon with that sort of performance across the tournament. They'll be thrilled, and it adds weight to the argument, as you say, that could we have a World Cup in Spain? Well, looks as though they're going to have a team in a few years' time that's certainly going to be more than capable of qualifying, and probably doing more than just qualifying and making a bit of a dent. I mean, if you're beating Scotland and competing that well with England in just one age group, you're going to be going good guns as the time goes on. It's been really cool to see them go so well. Been cool to see Wales as well, actually, because obviously from if we row back to January, we would have been talking about how the under-20s were facing a bit of a tricky time, how the under-18s were probably facing a similar time. It was all doom and gloom in Welsh rugby. Now, the senior side might not have picked up on and improved, but the 20s certainly did, and the 18s as well. An unbeaten festival for the under-18s of Wales. You know, didn't necessarily face the toughest teams in the entire competition, but you can only play what's in front of you, as they say, and that's exactly what Wales did. They were fantastic.
They were, and as you say, like, I think it's become a fundamental challenge in Welsh rugby to win fixtures. It's just become something that's a bit of a bogey for Wales in general, and I really do think. I know it wasn't the same players playing, obviously, but that win against England for the under-20s just seemed to spark a bit of a wake-up call across age grade Welsh rugby, where they just went, right, okay, not all is lost. And that confidence is quite a lot of what you need at age grade level, because usually it's still individual performances, because your shape isn't there, your defense isn't there, because you don't actually spend that much time together. It comes down to individual performances. Can you beat your man in front of you? And if you don't have that belief to do that, then it's usually really tricky. And I think we saw that in spades from that Welsh side across the under-18s, which is more than they'll be content with looking ahead to their summer excursions.
Yeah, they certainly will. They certainly will, and I agree with you. I think that confidence, you know, even if it is in a different age group, I think that can filter through. We know that there were players that were involved in both camps in some capacity, so that carries over, and it's clearly made a difference. So very positive campaign for England, very positive campaign for Wales, excellent campaign for Spain as well. And I guess the others, Georgia were competitive, but probably not as competitive as they were back in the summer when they were down in South Africa. And then I guess for Ireland and Scotland, a campaign of kind of frustration. Similar for France. I mean, if France had got the win against England, they probably look at it a bit differently. But on such fine margins are these things judged. But I guess you know, there's always going to be, in this scenario, there's teams that are going to come away feeling very happy with their lot, and teams that are going to come away feeling as though it's been a bit of a tricky one. That's the nature of the beast.
Especially when it's just like over a week. You don't actually have that much time to fix things. And if it doesn't go right for you in the first game, we actually saw the same patterns being shown basically across all three games, because you don't. I doubt they were training much, if at all, between games. You're probably just resting, recovering, bit of analysis, and then cracking on. So you don't. It's almost like one mega game, really, rather than 3 games, because you're not actually taking on board the learnings, which I guess isn't really the point. You're not there necessarily to win games. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's a festival and it's an opportunity just to put your name out there. One person I do just want to kind of almost shout out, because I think he'll probably need it, is Victor Warsnip, because bless him, what a difficult time he's having at the moment with injuries. I've heard, I think this time around it's a knee issue which will take a considerable amount of time. I was catching up with some of the England under-18 sort of performance team, and they said that he's gonna have a longer road to recovery with this injury, but he's such a talent for Bristol, for Clifton when we've seen him. He's at Clifton, isn't he? Yeah, and England as well. But it's so sad to see a player sort of just get on the unlucky side of a draw when it comes to the injury gods.
He just, poor lad, just can't catch a break. And in some ways, it's just the most frustrating and worrying time in your career for it all to happen, because it's not started yet. There's no reputation to fall back on. He's relying on people sort of keeping the faith, but they should keep the faith, because, as you say,
he's a great talent.
He's a hell of a player, and he's if he can get these injuries cleaned up, he's got a hell of a future in front of him. A team with a massive future in front of them by the looks of things as we jump across to the women's under 18 Six Nations, France,
Yeah,
unbeaten. And in their final game, so two rounds of two 35-minute games in each round. And then in the final round, it's a 70-minute game. And in that 70-minute game, it's sort of tailored that you play the side that you're most likely to be competitive with. And so for France, that was England, who've been wiping the floor with just about everyone at just about every
yeah.
age group level in the women's game for the past however many years. France clearly didn't read that script though, because
No,
66-7 victory for France, absolutely astonishing.
in England as well at Wellington College, and they just seem to put England to the sword. I don't think England had a very good campaign to their high standards. We obviously don't know what necessarily that was down to. We definitely know it's not a lack of talent. There are some really exciting names in that team, like Jess Taylor, Lily Pereira dos Santos, two particular players in particular have been so impressive at sort of flanker and on the wing when they've been given their chances. But yeah, it's been a funny couple of weeks for age grade rugby for England. The England under 20 side that went to South Africa.
Hmm.
They fell short. Look, it's a different task because they're coming up against. I don't think they were coming up against South Africa under 20s. I think they were coming up against the Springbok women, their senior side. So there's a little caveat. I think with that performance,
Hmm.
but still players in there that have PWR experience and lots of it. So they probably would have been hoping to get some better results. Obviously, the senior side are absolutely flying in the Guinness Women's Six Nations at the moment, and you'd hope this just is a little bit of a blip in the production line for England, because they'll be wanting to get right back into it, especially off the back of it coming into a new World Cup cycle off the back of the end of this year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they will be frustrated with the campaign, I think, won't they? That's a heavy defeat, a tough defeat to swallow for any side. They also went down against Scotland, a side that they've,
Yeah,
over the course of the piece, have traditionally got the better of. So England will definitely be frustrated, but a bit of frustration never harmed anyone.
no,
Tends to create a bit of a response. France, meanwhile, will be absolutely loving life. It was a funny old tournament, though, wasn't it? Because we had a couple of nil-nil
nil
draws.
nils.
Sort
Yeah,
of, it was teams beating teams that you don't expect. It was kind of all over the place. So it looks as though women's rugby at under 18 level, at the very least, is in a pretty healthy place in the sense that no one knows what's going to happen,
no,
which is what you
which is
want.
good. Exactly. We're about to go into a Rugby World Cup, and I don't think there's been a clearer favourite heading into a World Cup, men's or women's, at any level, ever, really, in the professional game at least. In the England, the Red Roses look destined to win this World Cup. They're only probably going to have one, maybe two challenges in. They'll probably face France in the semi-final, and then they'll face either New Zealand or Canada in the final. And and that's just not what you want out of sport. You want teams to you want it to be interesting and to fight each other. You look on the men's side of the draw. You look at 2023 World Cup. Pretty much every team that got to the quarterfinal, you could turn around and go, yeah, they could win. They
Yeah,
could win the whole thing. And you want the women's game to get to that sort of level, and that's no slight on any of the other nations. It's because England and the Red Roses are just that far ahead and that good. But this is promising that there are other sides catching up to them and keeping up with it. And it's always a good forecast for hopefully maybe the next World Cup cycle we can have some different offerings in the mix.
definitely. Yeah, bodes really well for the game.
Yeah.
Um, Also coming up alongside a World Cup, we've got a Lions tour.
Yeah,
Um,
that small thing, yeah.
yeah, don't know if you've seen anything about it. Just a small little thing.
No,
People may
yeah.
have mentioned it. Squad is announced. 2 weeks.
Eight,
2 weeks
eighth of
tomorrow, 8th of
eighth of
May.
May. 8th of May. Yeah.
Um, I haven't prepped you for this at all, but any surprise selections you can see coming?
Any bolters? Um I Can I do? This is going to be so negative. Can I do some anti-bolters?
Yeah,
Some players that
I
I think
love an anti-bolter.
a lot of people are saying that I think will get at
Hold
that.
on, is an anti-bolter someone who hates bolters or who's definitely not a bolter?
No, sorry, yeah, no. I'm not an anti-bolter. I am one of the biggest fans of bolters. And anti-bolter is too strong of a term. I'll retract that. I think that the person that immediately came to my mind and probably come to everyone's mind is, Henry Pollock's going to go. And I mean this in the best possible way. I hope he doesn't, because I think that it will do really, really well for him to go into the next stage of the Lions, which I think will be in New Zealand, won't it? The following one.
Yeah.
I think if he goes into that in his absolute prime with 2025 England caps under his belt, it'll serve him a lot better than going and playing off the bench in a midweek team in Australia. You look at how it sort of treated someone like maybe Marcus Smith is the wrong comparison, but he was a bolter in the last the last time around in that South Africa tour. And you don't actually get much from those midweek games, and you probably now you come around to this tournament, and Marcus Smith's almost sort of peaked too soon, and we've seen him in a Lions shirt, and we now don't think it will fit and whatever.
I think the interesting thing with him will be, in a way, I think it may come down to how they plan to use Ben Earl.
Yeah.
In that, if Ben Earl is central to their test plans, i.e. starting, rather than coming off the bench, then it potentially is prudent to have someone else in the squad who can do similar things to what Ben Earl can do. And Henry Pollock's probably the only other back rower who can do similar things to Ben Earl. If you're
maybe
not
like
if you're not kind of taking a view of Ben Earl being a likely starter and you're viewing him more as a bench player or not a squad 23 player, then your need for someone who can replicate what he can do is less, because that's not what you're looking to make your entire team do. So I think it may come down to something as sort of almost as random as that, in that it's his place in the squad may well be determined by how they intend to use someone else.
I agree. In terms of potentially some other names, like I don't. This is so negative. I don't think Prendergast is going to go, but purely because I think Finn Smith should.
I don't think Prendergast should go. I don't think he's there yet.
I think
he's a lovely rugby player, and I've been raving about him since he was playing Ireland 18s and Ireland 20s. But I don't think he's there yet.
No, and weirdly, Will Greenwood said this last week, and when he said it, I was like, "What are you on about?" And I sat and thought about it this week, and I'm not saying he'd go, but I'd put George Ford over Sam Prendergast in terms of who I'd rather see go into a Lions 10 shirt and go and do a job, because I think Finn Russell's got it. I think Finn Russell will be the starting 10. So you're not looking at
other than the fact that Johnny Sexton hates him, apparently.
True, but then again, I don't think Sexton is banging down the doors and going, right, Russell out, let's start.
Something tells me a conversation's probably already been had behind closed doors
exactly.
about that.
I don't think it's written into his contract. So I think they're all good on that front. But yeah, I think if you're looking at a player to potentially wear 22 or to even midweek captain is such an important role. I've heard Dan Digger talk about it before, in that James Haskell was exactly that back in 2017. Such an important midweek captain, and having someone like George Ford would be brilliant to kind of lead that midweek team.
You might be the first person in history, though, to compare George Ford and James Haskell as characters.
Yeah, they couldn't be. I mean, they come about it in very, very, very different ways, but they kind of get the same result of influence. I'll call it influence. That's a very broad term, isn't it?
There you go.
I'll flip some stuff onto you, because you caught me off guard there. We always, I think you've spoken about young Cubs and Lions under 20s or under 23s teams before. I think it's something we closer to the time would be able to probably dive deeper into. We can have a little special episode on it. But I'd love to hear like a captain from you, or who's the first person you think of when you think of an under-23 Lion. That, and I will state that they can't be in consideration for the actual Lions. You don't want, you can't pick like well, I was going to say like a Finn Smith. I don't know if he's 23, or like a Tommy Freeman or someone like that. I don't want any of those.
Yeah, rugby players are getting younger, aren't they? We might have to bring the age limit down to 21 or something. We will definitely do an episode picking a sort of a Lions Cub squad. We'll call it. I think we may have to go 21 and under, because there's that many sort of players in that 21, 22, 23 bracket who are eligible and likely to tour. If I look back to 4 years ago, we had some guys in there. And
did you get any predictions that are bang on?
Yeah, I mean, surprising. Well, we'll find out in a couple of weeks' time if they were bang on or not, I suppose. But there were guys in there, and some of them were fairly long shots at the time. Rory Darge made it through in part because it was a real effort to try and make sure we included some Scots in there. But Rory Darge, is a Scotland captain now. Jack Morgan was in amongst it. George Martin, I think, was the player that we named the captain of that particular squad.
I've got it in front of me, and should we have a little? I'll have a little run through it, and I'd like to see your reaction to each one.
Tell you what, let's see if because I'm blind here. Let me see who I can. So, where are you? You are starting on loose heads, are you?
So, right, I'm going to give you a bit of a caveat. This was the at the time of the 2021 tour. Hypothetical edition, under 21 squad for each side. So you did actually do under 21. Had to be under 21 on the 1st of January 2021. So they'd technically be about 24 now.
Fair enough. So I presume we started with loose heads. So I'm going to go Finn Baxter.
There's some brilliant names in here. No, you didn't put Finn Baxter. Finn Baxter.
Well, he might have been a tight head.
Finn Baxter was a tight head.
He was a tight head in those days. Right?
Theo
Bevacqua from Wales.
No, you didn't. He wasn't in the squad. You had Bevan Rodd.
Oh, Bevan Rodd. Oh, fair enough. Oh, that's a good couple of tight heads there, or loose heads, I should say. Bevan Rodd, fair enough. Hooker, who would Hooker be?
This is brilliant. I have just realised we've only got about 10 minutes to go, so we're going to have to speed run through this.
We'll go quick. Patrick Harrison from Scotland.
I don't think you're going to get this one. It's Alfie Barbary.
Oh. Well,
but
he's moved position on me.
He's got you there.
Tight head. Oh, Tom Clarkson from Ireland.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Second row's got to be George Martin and Ewan Richards.
No, he had Thomas Ahern.
Thomas Ahern. Oh, fair enough.
And Christ Windsor on the bench. A back row, a very varied back row actually.
Jack Morgan must be in it.
Yeah, Jack Morgan was at 6.
Rory Darge?
Rory Darge was not in this one, but I think he was in a previous one.
Who else might have been in there? Oh, there's got to be a young English back rower in there. Must be. I can't think of who off the top of my head, though. You'll have to give it to me.
Jack Clement.
Jack Clement. Oh, fair enough.
And David McCann. David McCann's at 7.
Oh, David McCann. Fair enough.
Scrum
half. Who would I have gone for there? Jamie Dobie?
No, he was on the bench.
Archie McParland?
No.
Too young, probably. Too young.
He would have been about 16 in 2021.
The only other name that springs to mind is Harry Morgan from Wales.
No, he was an Englishman.
No idea.
Jack Van Portfleet.
Oh, well, that was a good selection, that.
That was, not bad. Fly half?
Charlie Atkinson, I want to say.
Charlie Atkinson, again, was on the bench. He had a lot of bench players.
Finn Smith?
No, it was a Welshman who's kind of fallen off the face of the earth.
Johan Lloyd.
Johan Lloyd, yeah.
Johan Lloyd.
But there was so much hype around him, obviously coming out of Bristol. This was when he was a fly half, before he moved into sort of being a winger. Left wing. I'm really interested to know when this was written, because this is interesting.
Well, I guess it would have been about this time 4 years ago. Oh God, I couldn't even guess who I've got on the wing.
Welsh, but wasn't playing for a Welsh side.
Oh,
I'll give you a further clue. Isn't even playing rugby anymore.
Lewis Rees-Zammit.
Lewis Rees-Zammit. And I love your final sentence. Rees-Zammit has 100-cap potential, which is true if he decided to play the sport.
He still might.
Yeah, typically, he probably will. Centres are brilliant. One Irishman, one Englishman, but both still both playing for Premiership clubs at the moment.
Oh, would I have gone with Hayden Hyde?
You did go with Hayden Hyde.
Yes, and
With
is
Anna
it-
and Owen on the bench, by the way, wearing 23.
Oh, what a bit of a Quinn's partnership. Oh no, not Quinn's partnership. What am I? Lennox Anyanwu though. Did he make the side at 13?
No, he didn't. He didn't make the side. It was an Englishman that again has kind of fallen by the wayside in terms of England. I think he's had a couple of England caps. Mate, I know he's played for England A. No, former Kirkham's grammar school boy.
Oh, Dan Kelly.
Dan Kelly. And final two. Come on, here we go. A right winger who currently plays international rugby but wouldn't be available for the Lions.
Oh, hello. Hello. So, right, where's he moved to? Oh, Louis Liner.
Louis Liner, correct. As your little caveat. Final one. Again, if things had fallen different ways, he would be firmly in the Lions picture. Somehow isn't getting spoken about for a Lions appearance. Fullback, England.
Freddie Stewart.
Freddie Stewart. Wow.
I'll tell you what, we did all right with that. We did all right with that.
Not bad selections at all. You mentioned Max Ajoma and Will Joseph as well in amongst the team. Yeah, it'll be interesting to revisit that maybe in a couple of weeks' time when we do our next ones, and then we can continue the 4-year cycle, the tradition.
I'll tell you what, I'm not too upset with that. That's not a bad team. I'd happily put the name to it, which is just as well because I did. Right, we better wrap things up, but a promise of what's to come in a couple of weeks' time, and something for you all to look back on and laugh in 4 years' time as well.
Like we just did then. Yeah,
exactly. Right, you know where to catch us. We're on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, all your usual places. YouTube as well. We're on @NextGen15 on all your socials. NextGen15 Clubhouse, www.nextgen15.com, etc. That's how to get involved. Right, well, I better go because I've got to speak to Sam Winters, which you will think I've already done, but I haven't quite done it yet.
You've broken the magic. You've broken the magic they all thought, and now we've been rumbled. Right, off you go.